Hey, what's up guys? Griggzy here, and this is another episode of my Redstone tutorial series. And we're actually getting on in the episodes, like quite far into the episodes is what I'm trying to say. We're on well, we're past the 10, so that's already a lot. I find as soon as the series kind of gets past the 10 mark, that's when you get quite a few going. And this is what we've got so far. Something like this is what yours should kind of look like. Something along the lines of this. Yours will probably look a little bit different if you've done what I said and done it your own way slightly. I hope you have. Now, last episode we worked on this, which was the start of the GPU bus. We had kind of like a little sign thing here, almost like a to-do list thing you could say. Now, I've mentioned it a few times. I've actually got notes for when I do these episodes. Now, I'm just going to read out to you what I have on my notes so far, just so you can get an idea of where I am in my head. Now, because that's something that I don't usually do. I don't usually say what I'm planning, what I'm thinking about, especially when I'm out of episodes. When I'm not recording, I don't really. I think about things a lot to do with my channel, and especially this series, when I'm not recording, of course. So I'm just going to kind of read this out, because I've never actually done it before. And this is what's on my notes at the moment. So I've got a to-do list at the moment. And that is, the first one, it says, to do, Boolean gates should be added to the previous computer, so this guy. So there are things called I'll have to get onto them later, but it's basically where it's basically a few different algorithms and loads of stuff like that that combine bits together to do different things. We will get onto them. Kind of, there'll just be a few simple ones. I'll probably they only need just a couple bits each, and then you add them up and then take them back down in an input. It's kind of, we'll get onto that one day. I don't really think that, I've never thought that they're particularly important, so that's why I haven't added them to this, and I haven't really spoke about them much. And then underneath that there is a to-do that says literally just this: right and left shift should be added. So I've got the left shift on this one. I started off like the place where the right one was going to go. Now you can kind of, that bit on the to-do list can be applied to this computer and also this one, because obviously this hasn't got that yet. So I'll probably finish them up on this, and then some later episode we'll add them onto here. I'll probably have the motivation to actually get down and finish this one over here as soon as we get onto that part on this, because I tend to only do work that I know how to do when I need to do it. You know, I'm that type of procrastinating person. So I don't really need to get it done yet until we're at a point where we're going to be onto it, because obviously we've started the GPU and then we've got the whole of the binary decoder and loads of stuff to do before we get onto that anyway. Now this is a kind of long one on the list. Sometimes when I've had a new idea, because if you remember last episode, let's just kind of have a little reference back to that. I said that I was doing this completely off of just out of stuff in my own head. I was just kind of making it up on the spot, and I actually came up with this design in the episode while I was kind of making it. Now I've got a big long paragraph in my notes section. Now that's there because quite often actually I'll forget what I wanted to do. Like, I'll forget ideas to do with this thing because sometimes they're just quite complicated or something. So I tend to write them down. So this is what I wrote down. And this isn't just me reading it out. This is actually something that you should hear as well, because it's kind of our to-do list, mine and yours to-do list. So let's go ahead and read it out. And it says, on new tutorial PC, so this one, The GPU should be changed in order to have a secondary memory cell, which cannot be directly controlled from the control panel. So the GPU is going to have its own memory cell, like these guys, and it's not going to be directly controllable from the control panel. And by that I mean you won't have these save functions and save to memory cell, erase, etc. functions. However, we might have a reset button and a lever. Now this is what it says. Oh yeah. The only function the user will be given for the cell is a T flip-flop that will indicate whether or not the information that is sent down the adder during calculate memory cell 1 and 2 function has sent the information. So the only function, that's just saying that the only function we'll have over the GPU memory cell, sorry, we'll have all the normal GPU controls here, so turn on and off, save, all the ones that this guy has. But for the memory cell that's in the GPU, we'll only have one function, and that is a T flip-flop, and it says that will dictate whether or not the information sent down from the adder, so during calculate 1 and 2. So when I add 2 and 2 together, what have I done? Oh yeah, it's down here. So when I add 2 and 2 together, let's go with, sorry, hold on. 2 and 2. Like that. When I add them together, I'm getting really bad frame rate. When I add them together, the signal that comes down from the adder and that comes up on this screen, this one, ready? That one, there it is. That signal will have a T flip-flop to dictate whether or not that comes down here and then therefore reach our memory cell. So basically the notes are saying that we have a function that will dictate whether or not the signal comes down the orange bus or if it doesn't. And the notes say after that, this will be done by having a bus coming off of the white bus like the old ALU and leading this into the secondary memory cell. However, it will go through a row of blocks controlled by pistons that can be lifted to stop the signal getting through. This will be the function. So what that means is that's just kind of gone into detail about what I've just said. So let me just summarize that one more time. What we're going to do is we're going to add a function that allows us to dictate whether the signal comes down the white bus and onto the orange bus to reach the memory cell or not. And how we're going to do this is by putting a line of blocks controlled by pistons. So we could do it anywhere really, it doesn't really matter. And this line will be able to be lifted or closed in order to allow the signal through or not. So that's how that is going to work. And then the notes go on to say, I may have to have a reset memory cell function that takes a sample of each bit to check if they are on. If it turns on, then the cell clears before the information can reach it. So this is what this is here. It checks each bit for a signal, and if any of them have a signal, it shoots this signal off to the memory cell and clears it before this information can get to it. So that's pretty simple. That's all that all means, and it's pretty simple. So you should understand what most of that means, and that's basically our to-do list for so far. Obviously, there's a little bit more to that. We have to start the binary decoder and the logic behind it. And obviously, this guy here, the actual screen and how this is going to work. It's pretty simple. It's simpler than, say, the adder and stuff like that. So we should be good. So now, today, what I'm going to do is go ahead and try and kind of get this going, you could say. So last time we put that row of torches in, I think I'm going to call that off, actually. We don't really... I don't think we want that yet. I think we're going to need... Okay. So if this line, if you just... Or would it be better to do it the other side? Let me just check. So yeah, I think it's going to be best to do it the other side, like this. Let's just run it like that. And then if we want to just kind of take a wire out from here. Okay, so we want that kind of that side. So just take it out of anywhere and just swap it around to the other side, because it's much nicer the other side like that. It gives us more room this side, which is what we need. This block, this line here is going to be the control pistons. So let's go ahead and add them in like that. So when on, the signal can get through, and when off, the signal can't. And that's going to be one of our functions up here. So that's quite an easy function. We'll just link that up directly down like that. So now what we need to do is go ahead and replicate this memory cell. Now last lesson, last time I did say you could do this if you wanted to. And if you went ahead and did that, then you wouldn't have been able to put this in just then. I didn't really think about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, if you did do that last time, just put the row of pistons here. And actually, I'm going to do that because I'd completely forgot that I told you to do that last time. And it's a little bit unfair on anyone who hasn't. So I'm actually going to go ahead and put them in like that. So there you go, guys. Any of you that have already put that memory cell in, there you go, I relieve you of your problem. So just move that back like that, and then that means that the original row of torches can go back in there. Sorry about that. We are going to need a full line of repeaters here, if I could actually get in here. Like so. And actually that compacts it down, so it's actually much nicer. So now that we've put them in, you know what's next, because we've done it plenty of times before. We need this kind of 3x3 section here. I think that's a 4 by however high. When I say 3x3, I obviously don't mean 3x3. Why am I going over here? I've got memory cells here. It's a 3x8, isn't it? 1, 2, 3 by 8. Yeah. Okay. So then you want to put that 3x8 in, and then go ahead and do your crisscross on it. Doesn't matter which way you do round the crisscross. And then you need the signal prohibitor down here. Right, here we go, nearly done. We've done this plenty of times now, so this is just something that I have in my head, and I hope you do too. There we go, signal prohibitor in, and then that means that this button will allow the signal to go through. Now we do need to put this into here. And then go ahead and build our memory cell. So you can go ahead and make it out of quartz, you can make it out of anything. I don't know why I did it out of quartz last time, it's just something that I did. I can't remember why. Now I'm going to go ahead and make it out of quartz again. Okay, so I'm just making the memory cell. I figured I didn't really need to do it on camera because of how many times we've actually done it. Okay, nearly done. And there we go. So, in theory, I think I've done this right. Right, okay. So this is what you should end up with, something like this. So this line was already here with these are lights, not lights, torches in the last episode. These pistons here we added in just now. And make sure you have a row of repeaters there to pull the signal out. Then you have the little 3x8 section here with the 2x8 crisscross. And then underneath that we obviously put the crisscross of torches on the signal prohibitor. Make sure you got a button or some way to power that. We'll hook that up to the control panel at a later date. And now you just build a memory cell here. That is an exact replica of the 3 that we've already built on this design, and also the 3 that are on that design over there. And now we have this kind of input bit, and we want to be able to take the signal out. Now there is a point in which that we separate the whole of the thing out like this. Can you see in this? So it goes from being an 8 wide bus here into a 16 wide bus here with a gap in between. So you can kind of see how I did that down here. All I did was just staggered it off like so. So that is what we're going to have to do. Okay, so what we could do now is we could go ahead and take this out of here like this, and then literally just stagger it like this, like we've done plenty of times, kind of with separating them up here, or how we've done over, I think there was some place else, wasn't there? Yep, down here when we scattered them, we kind of staggered them inwards. So we could go ahead and do that here just right now, stagger them all up. But I'm definitely not going to do that, because first of all it's quite ugly, and second of all we have no idea where we want to put the screen, and we have no idea exactly where we want to put the bus for the screen. Now I've already noticed that this GPU is shifted right over here next to the ALU, and now that means we're kind of being efficient on space, so I'd definitely quite like to do that. So in order to do that, I'll bring the bus out this way and then stagger it off in that direction. So I think we could do that if we was to put a turn in here and then take the bus here, still 8 wide, and then we'd be able to stagger it off into the 16 along here. So let's just give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So right here the bus would come along like that, and it'll be 8 wide here, and then we'd be able to just stagger it off like this with the different lines, like so, like so. Ta-da! So this would be the first line, second line, third line, fourth line, etc. Kind of just staggering it off like that. If that kind of makes sense. Just literally just taking them all off. So we could do that, and I think that is probably what we're gonna do. So if I just get rid of all of this, we'll do it properly. So we're gonna want to take it down like this, and then we're gonna have to turn all of the bits round like this. So we're going to go ahead and kind of lead them all the way around like this. So this one will be dust, and then we'll bring this line across here diagonally, and then we have a nice crisscross pattern right here. So we've got a little bit of bust making to do, however not much at all. So you can see how I did this, kind of just turning it round. We also need to think about how I'm going to stagger it off. So what I could do is just take that out like that, and then the next one would be here, and then that's not really too efficient. But saying that, neither is the way that I did it last time. So if we have a little look, we've actually kind of got triple repeaters even. Triple, we've got triple there, you know. And by the time we're at the end, we've got 4 repeaters on pretty much each of them. So that's still not even that efficient. I'm wondering if we did a diagonal pattern like this here, if it would be any easier, because we could take one out here. No. Okay, so we're going to have to just stagger it off however we can. Let's take this all the way over here like this, and we want so much, kind of a bit of space in between here, so I'll probably go here, and then this is going to be the final line across there. So actually I never realised that there's quite a bit of planning involved for this. So where last time I kind of just threw it all together and it ended up really messy, for this one I've definitely decided that there's quite a bit of planning that needs to be done. So first of all, we're kind of designing whereabouts it's going to go, and we've already established it's going to go along here. So we're going to decide and then design how we want to actually stagger this thing. But essentially, we're just going to have loads of lines that go down here like that. Now one thing I do need to do is I need to check how tall this is. It's actually 5 if we count this. So are we going to be eating into the ground if we do it like this? So let's check the height. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we'll definitely be risking it. So it really wouldn't bother me if we was to take it up 1. And if we was to do that, then I'd think about doing it a different way. Imagine we did a crisscross design. We could stagger 1 out there. And then stagger 1 out there. But there'd be a 2-block gap in between. So that's still a problem. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to raise this up. This thing kind of wants to be raised. I'd go with 2 blocks. Once it's turned around, we want to just raise it again. So 2 blocks sounds about right. And this will be where the bus comes off. Okay, so let's talk about progress from where we was last time. This is where we was when we had our kind of last pause. This is kind of, I like to have these little pauses like this. So this is where we was last time. Like that. And then this is what we've added on since. Now to be honest, I don't actually think that this is doing what it should be doing. Am I right? Yeah, it's actually inverted when it doesn't need to be. That's because I've put in this inverter here, which doesn't technically need to be here. That is there because it goes through another inverter here. So we could and we couldn't. You know, it doesn't. It's just whether or not we decide if we want to put in this inverter there. Now, it's kind of a complicated idea, and whether or not I'm going to do it, I have no clue whatsoever. I reckon I'd go as far to say that I'm not going to do it, because that would give us another function to a GPU that we don't really need. When I say that, I'm talking about having this control function here. So this is a copy to main cell. So in this case, this would be a send through to GPU, you could say. So we'd have a button somewhere, and then when we flick that button, the signal would go through and then go into the GPU. But really we don't need that, because this memory cell here is already optional, you could say. So we don't need it at all. Now that I start thinking about functions, I think I've actually come to realise that we don't need this function here either. This is something that I'm going to have to think about, because I'm trying to make this as automatic as I possibly can. And by doing that, we're kind of going into uncharted territory. You know, I haven't done something like this before. It's a little bit of an interesting design. So first of all, I've actually got rid of these inverters, and I'm just gonna hook this up straight to there. So like this. So there we go. And I also don't like the look of these quartz blocks, so I'm going to go ahead and change them out to orange wool. Okay, and I've also added in this reset function up here, and I've just stuck a button on it, like so. And now this needs to be linked up to here. And believe it or not, we actually have to have another function here. Now, we need to have this piston here for one reason. That is because this is going to detect any signal coming through, and then it's going to reset this memory cell. Now, we don't really want to reset this memory cell if the GPU is off. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to hook up these two. Okay, so what I've went ahead and done is on this little section here is I've just let it down here, went under this function, round, and then hooked it up into there. Now that's probably not the most efficient way of doing it, so I'm going to quickly edit this out. And I'm going to move this piston to here. And then move that to there. So now, whenever I turn this off, that goes in as well. So what we're doing is by hooking that up, we actually shut down this memory cell, whatever state it is in. So let's do this. If it's in a 1 state, when we just do this, we're just completely shutting it down. We're not pausing anything, and we're also not getting rid of anything. And that is exactly what we want. Now along here, let's put in this. We're also going to have one more function. And I know it's quite a few functions. And that is going to be able to, that is going to let us bring up these blocks here. So when the GPU is off, we don't want anything displayed, and this will stop that from happening. So I'm just linking up this. And then you know exactly where this is going to go to. It's going to hook up to the same line as this. Like that. So now we just need to take this. And quite messily take it over to here. Like that. So now we've got a function that when we turn it off, it shuts down everything to do with this memory cell. And that is going to be our off and on GPU function right here. So what that will do is that will stop any editing of this memory cell, stop any input from this memory cell, and also stop any output. So that is done by putting this up and also stopping this from working and stopping the output from getting out into the GPU. So that is kind of a good basis for this episode, and I'm actually quite happy with how this has turned out, because I had a good idea in my head at the start of the episode, and then the more I started to think about it, the more I was getting stumped by it, and it was really kind of starting to confuse me a bit, and you might have been able to kind of sense that from how I was talking and how I was actually doing the episode for the kind of that middle end portion, you could say, until I actually started building this and these pistons and stuff. Then I got a good idea just at the end there and finally grasped it. So that's that for now. I do want to find a nicer way to take this round, so I'm actually gonna do that really quickly before we end the episode. I'm just gonna go ahead and put the lever there and take it round this way, because I really didn't like how it went round just now. Like that. And then that keeps a low profile, not a profile, but a profile. And it means that we have more space up here to do more T flip-flops at this level. So we're going to have a T flip-flop here, and I think we'll have a few more. But let's quickly turn this on and extend it. There we go. That is how we're going to turn it off and on. I think I'm going to end the episode here though, because I've been recording for a while. I might go ahead and just stop this episode and then hit record again and keep going with this thing. But for now, for this episode at least, it's goodbye, and I'll see you in the next episode, guys. Likes, comments and subscribes are all very much appreciated, and if you have any ideas or complaints, just go ahead and drop them in the comments, because they do get read. My name is Griggzy, and I will be seeing you in the next episode of my Redstone tutorial series. That is, if you want to come back. Okay, guys. I will see you later. My name's Griggzy. Goodbye.